Progress.
Great. Good evening, everyone. It is 6 p.m. Today is August 13th, 2026. We will call this Alameda County Water District Board of Directors meeting to order. We'll start with item number 1. Roll call, please.
Directors Weed,
Here.
Huang,
Here.
Gunther,
Here.
Sethy, and Akbari.
Here. And I'll just note for the record, we are expecting Director Sethy, but he did let us know that he's going to be running a few minutes late tonight. With that, we'll move to item number 2, salute to the flag. Director Gunther, would you like to lead us?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic which is a nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. I'll now turn to the General Manager for some housekeeping remarks.
Great. Thank you, President Akbari. I'd like to welcome everyone to this evening's board meeting on behalf of the ACWD Board of Directors. My name is Ed Stevenson and I serve as the district's General Manager. Members of the public may participate in this board meeting in person or remotely by either using the Zoom application or by telephone. Any member of the public present in person who wishes to make comments may approach the speaker's podium at the appropriate time. For those participating remotely, note that the meeting agenda, staff reports, and presentation materials for this meeting are all available on the district's website at acwd.org. You may reference the instructions at the top of the agenda for how to participate using the controls in the Zoom app or your dial pad if participating by telephone audio. This board meeting is being recorded and will be made available to the public for future viewing. Again, thank you all for attending, and President Akbari, that completes my housekeeping remarks.
Thank you, Mr. Stevenson. With that, we will move to item number 3, public comments. Members of the public may address the board on any issues not listed on the agenda, which are within the purview of the Alameda County Water District, and we will be enforcing a 5-minute limit on all speakers. We'll start with any speakers who are here in the room. If anyone wishes to address the board, you may approach the speaker's podium now. Seeing none, I will turn to our members who are online on Zoom. If you wish to make a comment, you can raise your hand in the Zoom app now. I see one hand up, Mr. Ken Nishimura.
Hello, hope you can hear me.
Yep.
Yes, okay. And directors, my comments refer to the rate workshop held last July 30th. Unfortunately, I was unable to attend and make comments during that workshop. To begin, I would wish to commend the district for its detail and transparency, especially slide 23, where you outlined the key cost drivers. My only wish is that you had completed the exercise. The line items shown account for about $114 million of your approximately $150 million operating budget. The complete data would allow us to compute an input-driven increase factor, thus allowing a relative comparison of your proposed rate increases to the input-driven increase factors. This would then allow us to have a clearer picture of the efficiency improvements made by the district or lack thereof. However, based on the figures that you have presented, it is clear that the district has increased its overall efficiency, for which I commend. It is unfortunate that the district is forced to consider a rate increase driven by the input-driven factors as shown in slide 23. It is very clear that the district is facing increased costs for purchased water from San Francisco PUC, which drives me to my second point. I am slightly disappointed that the recommendation is to table consideration of tiered rates, even though the analysis shows that many agencies and your comparison agencies have adopted tiered rates. The rationale for delaying tiered rates was that more data from AMI is required to create the tiered rate structure. I will just make a comment that many of the agents, your peer agencies that have tiered rates, implemented them well before AMI was a common technology in use. The electric industry, PG&E, many other utilities use tiered rates as a tool to tailor demand So I again urge the district to continue to investigate the use of tiered rates as a tool to help make water more affordable for the basic needs of your customers. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Nishimura. Are there any other members of the public, either online or in person, who wish to make a comment?
Don't see any hands.
Okay. We will close item number 3 and move to our next item, introduction of incoming Director of Finance, Rick Bruneau, starting August 24th, 2026, and I'll turn it to our General Manager.
Great. Thank you, President Akbari. And this is an unusual item. Anytime you see the little clover on the agenda, there's some sort of special guest star perhaps in the mix or a special item. And that's what this is this evening. This is an opportunity to introduce our incoming Director of Finance, Rick Bruneau. And I'll ask Rick to go ahead and step up to the podium, put him on the spot. And so Rick will share a little bit more about himself, but I just wanted to let you know how he got here. We had a very rigorous competitive recruitment that occurred over several months. We made use of an executive recruiter to really turn over every rock and look at all of the possibilities out there. We had what was to that recruiter an unprecedented 64 really highly qualified, high caliber candidates, which was, again, something that was really unusual. But that also was a good problem to have, quite the process to narrow down the list and find the very best overall racehorse. And we think we've done that. Rick is a district customer. He's already signed on the dotted line, so he cannot change his mind, but he has not started yet. He is in the process of getting up to speed, actually pretty impressively and pretty quickly. But he wanted to have an opportunity to introduce himself to the full board at a regular board meeting before he starts on the 24th, which is just a few days in advance of the next rates workshop. So this is an opportunity for Rick to say hello to you all. And you'll have ample opportunity to work with Rick in the months and hopefully years ahead, but we just wanted to introduce you all this evening. So Rick, do you have anything that you'd like to add?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Stevenson, and good evening, members of the board, staff, and public. My name is Rick Bruneau, and I'm just really excited to be joining Alameda County Water District. I've been a resident of Fremont and a customer of ACWD for over the past decade, and have relied on reliable water, high quality water service, reasonable price. And that's a mission that I feel very, very close to. And I appreciate this opportunity to come on board as the next Director of Finance. The work that's been done in the past, the direction from the board, and the execution and actions of staff you've all done a fabulous job in providing a really great service for our community. And that's one of the reasons why I'm really proud to be joining Alameda County Water District as a customer here to serve a mission for my community. So I'll share a little bit about my background. And over the past 2 decades, I've led accounting and finance teams at various government agencies, both federal and local. And public service is really at my core. I started my career with the Department of Defense Audit Agency. And throughout that, I've worked with cities and also the Federal Reserve Bank in San Francisco. One thing that I want to share, just my most recent position at the Fed as Vice President of Finance and Accounting, I helped lead their financial planning, their budgeting process, as well as their capital financing. I also prior to that worked as the Director of Finance for the City of San Jose, Deputy Director at San Jose, across all the functions of finance. So from accounting to procurement, investments, debt management, I've had experience in all those. And in particular, the most relevant here was on the revenue management side of things. So I had responsibilities for the utility billing function, in San Jose. You're all probably familiar with San Jose municipal water system. I was part of the team that helped with the billing of those processes, managing our system. So I have some relevant experience there that I hope to bring and to help the team continue to succeed into the future. So with that, I just want to say in the coming weeks, I'm really looking forward to supporting the board, helping advise you on all financial management matters. And I'm really happy to be here. So thank you. That concludes my prepared remarks, but I'm happy to take any questions if there's any.
Thank you, Rick.
Thank you, Mr. Bruno, for being here. Any questions or comments from the board?
Just look forward to working with you and see you in committee meetings and future board meetings.
Looking forward to working with you. I got one question. Eastern Connecticut.
Yes, my undergraduate's from Eastern Connecticut State University. I grew up in
It's
Connecticut.
gonna be fun.
I grew up in Connecticut and moved out to California in 2010. So yes, my roots come from New England.
Coast Guard.
You're from you have a tie with
I'm
Coast
from Middletown.
All right,
Coast Guard Academy.
Coast Guard Academy. I was
I
telling.
know Easter very well.
Yes, yep.
That's kind of stuck out for me. So we'll have
We'll talk.
lovely conversations. It's gonna be fun.
All right.
Thank you. Welcome. Looking forward to
Thank you.
working with you.
And I'll just extend the welcome. Ed kind of told us a little bit about your background, and so I'm very, very excited to work with you, and I think you'll be a really fantastic addition to the team. So very much looking forward to get to knowing you. Apologies, you're stepping into a rates process as soon as you join, but I think you'll do great.
I'm doing my best to get up to speed as fast as possible, and I know that we have a really strong team here to help support with that. So
Absolutely.
I look forward to it.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Wonderful. With that, we will move to item number 4, consent calendar. Are there any items from the consent calendar that anyone wishes to add? Or sorry, from the action calendar that anyone wishes to add to the consent calendar?
I'll move to add 5.1, 5.2, and 5.3 to consent.
I'll second.
Roll call, please.
Directors Weed,
Aye.
Huang, aye. Gunther,
All right.
Sethy, and Akbari.
Aye. Do I have a motion to adopt the amended consent calendar?
I'll move so the adopted consent calendar.
I'll
Second.
Just go for it. Roll call, please.
Directors Weed,
Aye.
Huang, aye. Gunther,
All right.
Sethy, and Akbari.
Aye. Great. With that, we move on to item 5.4, resolution adopting a mitigated negative declaration and mitigation monitoring and reporting program and approving the Patterson Reservoir remediation project and directing the filing of a notice of determination. And I'll turn it to our general.
Great. Thank you very much, President Akbari. And I'll turn it right over to our Director of Engineering and Technology, Mr. Awoke, to get us started.
Thank you, Mr. Stevenson. Good evening, board members, community members, and staff. The board approved a 25-year CIP, and the budget document has a variety of project infrastructure upgrade and rehabilitation projects. One of those projects is the Patterson Reservoir remediation project, which is necessitated by increased resiliency and seismic retrofit needs. That will make us better prepared to provide high quality water to our customers. The project has advanced to final design stage. We have prepared environmental documents, and we wanted to present to you an update on the project as well as elements of the CEQA document, the mitigated negative declaration document. And if you have any questions, we'll be more than happy to answer. To make the presentation, we have Ms. Dorota Buczynska, who's the project engineer. We also have Chris Delp, who's the project engineering manager. Again, I'll turn it over to Ms. Buczynska, but if you guys have any questions, we'll be more than happy to help answer those questions.
Thank you. Just before we turn to the presentation, I'll just note for the record at 6:15 p.m. Director Sethy joined us as well. I'll turn it back to Ms. Buczynska.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for the introduction. My name is Dorota Budzyńska. I'm a project engineer, and I will provide an update on Patterson Reservoir Remediation Project, and that will include also recommended board actions. Thank you. I will start with the agenda. We'll briefly cover location, project scope, status, coordination with stakeholders, anticipated schedule, and again, recommended action items for the board. Oh, I know why. This slide includes the list of the acronyms which are used throughout this presentation. It's provided for the references. And I will start with the orientation to the project site. Patterson Reservoir is located in Coyote Hills Regional Park District area, nearby Dumbarton Bridge and north of Highway 84. Leading up to the reservoir, there is a gravel road which comes off the Paseo Padre, and that leads all the way to the reservoir. This is the Patterson Reservoir. Within the project area, there are several other facilities I want to point out. North of the Patterson, there is the Alameda County Communication Tower facility, where the stakeholders from Alameda, they have their own communication equipment. South of the reservoir, there is a City of Fremont Police Department training facility. Also, the west side of the reservoir, that's the site which is under the jurisdiction of Division of Safety Dams and was built by cutting and filling the hill site. The project purpose and the scope. As I mentioned, Patterson Reservoir is under the jurisdiction of Department of Safety Dams, and currently the district is operating with some restrictions due to the insufficient freeboard. In order to increase the freeboard and bring the full operation of the reservoir, this project is proposing approximately 4-foot earth berm on the east and the west side of the reservoir, which will be tied to north and the south side, creating a ring around the reservoir. In addition, we will be also relocating and modifying some district utilities, such as storm drain, water main, conduits, and SCADA infrastructure, as they may be in conflict with the berm or they may get damaged during the construction. Also, project requires a relocation of East Bay Regional Park District electrical infrastructure, which will be in conflict with the east berm. Another important part of this project is to maintain the site access during the constructions for the stakeholders, which needs to access different facilities. So this image, it shows approximately the footprint of of the berm, shown in red. That is the east. Oops. That is the shown in red. On the east, that's the east berm. On the west side, that's the west berm. And so the east berm will be constructed with 2-to-1 slope. Will have about 15-foot crown with approximately 14 feet paved roadway for the vehicles to drive on the top of that berm, which will basically follow the similar footprint of the existing surface. The west berm will include 12-foot 12-foot berm installed with the vertical concrete reinforced panels and compacted with the soil, and that's called MSE wall. And overall, The purpose of those two berms is again restore the freeboard at the site and maintain the navigation around the reservoir. Also, I want to point out that the west side, there will be a sufficient space between the berm and the boundaries of the reservoir for the vehicles to drive around the perimeter of the reservoir. As I mentioned, there are several utilities which needs to be relocated or redone as part of this project. The first image, that's the image which shows two power poles which belong to the East Bay Regional Park District and the overhead lines. They would need to be relocated because after the 4-foot berm is installed, the vertical clearance between the overhead and the top of the berm will get reduced and will be not safe for the large vehicles to drive underneath. The second image, that's the west side of the reservoir within the ACWD embankment area. That's where the ACWD has requested that the district will evaluate the existing 6-inch asbestos cement pipe and modify in a way so it will not leak in the future, potentially compromising the stability of that embankment. The third image that shows the SCADA infrastructure, which will have to be also relocated along with some conduits and other pipelines. Project status, we have completed 65% design and we're moving forward to 90% design. CEQA ISMND, a public review period has been finished and we have prepared a final document. Professional agreement amendments was approved at July board meeting, which is allowing the staff move forward with the design. We are having ongoing coordination with the East Bay Regional Park District for those power line relocations. And staff is also working with the parks to prepare various agreements to relocate the infrastructure. And our main focus is, again, finalize the design, obtain all the required permit, and move forward to the construction. So this project requires coordination with multiple agencies, groups, and facility users. As I mentioned, East Bay Regional Park District is one of the key stakeholders, not only because of the need to relocate their infrastructure, but also district would like to request the parks to issue the temporary access through Coyote Hills to the site when the main route is not available. We also, again, working with the county, making sure that their staff has ongoing access to the tower radio. The City of Fremont Police Department is another important key stakeholder. We already made a connection with the department and coordinated this project, and we have requested the police department to suspend any shooting and any kind of training activities at the time when the construction will be happening, because it will not be safe for the workers and construction staff. Pacific, the PG&E is also another important stakeholder because their facilities tie directly with the East Bay Regional Park District power lines. And there's also public and park users, which is very important. We're going to be also working with the public affairs to prepare a public outreach early in the construction so we can notify the park users about the closures, restrictions, and safety requirements. Project schedule. Construction is targeted for spring, summer 2027. Some work may be performed by the district staff, such as pipeline modification following the DSOD approval. I also want to mention there are several factors which may influence the schedule of this project. One is the relocation of East Bay Regional Park District electrical infrastructure, PG&E modification and approval of the application, and also DSOD review and obtaining the final permit to construct. Now I will move forward with review of recommended action items for the board. The draft ISMND CEQA was circulated for the 30 days public review early in the spring of 2026. We have received 3 comment letters from City of Fremont, East Bay Regional Park District, and Confederated Villages Nation. The staff has carefully, along with the environmental team, we have carefully reviewed all of the comments and implemented some minor changes to the mitigation measures into the final ISMND. And basically the environmental review is concluded and final document has been prepared. Now I will read the staff recommendation. Item 5.4, adopt mitigated negative declaration, MMRP, and approve the project. By motion, adopt a resolution which, 1, adopts the mitigated negative declaration for the Patterson Reservoir Remediation Project. 2, adopts the mitigation monitoring and reporting program. 3, approves implementation of the Patterson Reservoir Remediation Project. 4, authorizes the general manager to prepare and file a notice of determination for the project, job 21414. That basically concludes my presentation. Happy to take any questions if there are any.
Thank you. We'll start with questions and comments from the board. I'll start with Director Huang.
So I do have a clarification question for you. Can you move to slide 12? So what is a bit unclear to me if I'm reading the staff report, and I think you alluded to this a little bit. So I am assuming we have addressed all the concerns expressed in the 3 comment letters, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Some of those comments where we made some minor changes in the document. Other ones we follow up with some additional discussions, like with East Bay Regional Park District. We did had some meetings to clarify their concerns.
Great. Perfect. No, I just want a clarification, and for the record that we did address all the comments, and that's reflected either in the final document or reflected in the action that we're taking coordinating with the commenter. So thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. That was kind of one of my questions. I read the comments and the letters, and for anybody who wants to understand why the rates are where they are, all they got to do is read this project. You know, there were several things that kind of stood out for me that we'll deal with it. It's part of the deal. But I don't think the public fully understands some of the things you've had to jump through. Now, as far as East Bay Regional Park goes, there are constituents too. Same in the City of Fremont. You know, I mean, in one way or another, it's okay. So I'm totally in favor of the project. Keep asking myself if this thing failed, because I know Division of Dams was kind of pushing it. What direction is it going to go? I think it goes like to the bay, if I'm not mistaken. But that's okay. You know, let's fix it. We don't want it to fail. And if they think it's going to fail, well, they're supposed to be the experts. So fine, let's do it. Let's make it right. But these are costs that we have to do and decisions we have to make. And I think we're making the proper ones. So I fully support it. But I think if anybody has any question about why some of our costs, dig deeper into this and you'll find them. So particularly with why we're doing it in the first place. You know, I mean, yeah, I don't want it to fail. It's an important piece of infrastructure. So we should get it done. So I do fully support it. Thank you for all your work.
Thank you.
I have 2 questions. One is on the construction schedule. So how many months do we expect the project to be going on?
Yes, at this point, we are expecting the project will take approximately 6 months, and especially the earth aspect will have to be managed in dry seasons. Now, as we also dealing with the relocation of the electrical lines, that may extend the schedule because there will be a PG&E aspect, a little bit of the unknown, and other things. But for the earth, for the berm installation, approximately 6 months.
And you mentioned putting in pilings there on those walls.
Mhm.
How deep are you going? And is it both steel and concrete?
Well, I came prepared. I don't exactly know all of the details, but I will look at the drawings. So the depth, those dimensions, it will not be going that deep, and that will be approximately 5 feet into the ground. Again, because that mechanical wall will be something we're not gonna drive on a tab. This is gonna be kind of like a retaining wall. So 5 feet appears to be sufficient, or approximately.
I didn't know if we're going like halfway down the depth of the reservoir, or something like that.
No, we're not going that deep. No,
Okay.
and away from the reservoir. Yes.
Third question comes to mind. Have we investigated other dam sites or reservoir sites where they use the same application?
Perhaps the question can go to executive staff.
I can tell you I have, so I'm very familiar with this approach. We've evaluated this approach at other reservoir sites, district reservoir sites, and part of that had to do with looking at other sites as well. This is not an uncommon approach to addressing this particular concern by the Division of Safety of Dams. What they're really concerned about is, should there be, say, a large earthquake, causes enough ground shaking that causes the slope to settle somewhat. They want to make sure there's enough remaining elevation and freeboard for the reservoir to retain the stored water. So this is a relatively straightforward approach from the perspective of addressing these DSOD concerns. We looked at this same approach for Mayhew Reservoir and some other reservoirs that are under the DSOD jurisdiction.
Okay, thank you. Excellent work.
Welcome.
Thank you. Question, what is the interest of East Bay Regional Park District in this case? Are they a lessee of land? Are they an owner of the land? What is their role?
Yeah, so the East Bay Regional Park District facilities are within the district right away. And as far as I know, at this point, they do not have existing easement.
And I would add, Director Weed, so as you know, Coyote Hills Regional Park is adjacent to our property, and there's an access road that cuts through this property, but also there's power lines that lie adjacent to the access road that serve the
Power lines,
park.
PG&E's power lines and poles?
Yes,
Okay,
both PG&E and East Bay Regional Park District.
And East Bay Regional Park District actually owns or has a vested interest in the power lines and the electrical wires?
Well, they want us to relocate those power lines so they will not be in conflict with the berm, and they do have interest to remain at the site.
But they're not East Bay Regional Park District assets. They're PG&E assets?
No, the power poles and overhead lines, they do belong to East Bay Regional Park District. There is one pole, which is a little bit above the, so those poles, which I have shown here, those are East Bay Regional Park District.
What do they service?
They service a Coyote Hills Visitor Center, and also they provide some power to the pump stations for Cargill salt. We've learned from the park. So above those power poles, which are in conflict, moving towards the Alameda county communication, there are other power poles, and those belong to PG&E. And there's one pole where there's a meter belonging to East Bay Regional Park District, and up from that meter, that's PG&E.
On the positive side, it's nice to see East Bay Regional Park District allowing some of their facilities near a reservoir to be relocated. The memories of Del Val.
Well, speaking about the relocation, we're talking about possibly putting those below ground or increasing the height of those power poles. So their facility will remain within the district property. It will be done in a way so it's not conflict with the berm.
And I've been here long enough to have lived through the frustration of not being able to develop the Dumbarton Quarry Reservoir, 4,000 acre feet, which would have been working with Patterson and given us a much more secure water supply in that portion of the district. And the culprit in killing that project was East Bay Regional Park District, which converted it into a toxic waste dump using toxaphene. So longer history.
Thank you for the
Thank you.
story. Thank you. The history.
Great presentation. Thank you very much. I have a question on the Confederated Villages of the Lijan Nation. I noticed that one of the requirements is that anyone involved in construction has to take some WEEP training so that they can understand what to do if they should find some historical artifacts. Can you just tell me a little bit about what that training involves? How much is it costing the district? Is it going to be conducted by the First Nation, or is it going to be conducted by a consultant? I'm just curious what that process looks like.
Yeah, thank you for the question. I do have probably a partial response to this, as the project is still evolving towards developing plans and implementation, which will take place during the construction. So we do have environmental team, which is part of our design team, GEI. That's the team who has prepared the CEQA document. We will be reaching out to them to prepare required plans and documentation which were requested by the tribe. We don't anticipate that will be something done by the contractor, but we will make the contractor to implement some parts of that plan. And also a biologist or the specialist from GI probably will be providing a training to the contractor prior to the construction to make sure that everyone is familiar with the requirements. I don't have a good idea on the cost at this point either.
Okay. I was just curious, and if we can follow up with that, I would just like to kind of understand how that is playing into
I will. Sure.
cost of the project. Yeah.
There's one more.
Yeah, go ahead.
We had issues with the seismic safety and the separate department of the state. Are those issues closed or do they remain open at Patterson?
Seismic.
The Division of Dam Safety.
Yeah, I think this is the same project.
Mm.
This is a result of their concern.
This follows several years of discussions and analyses and so forth to deal with those concerns that were raised by the Division of Safety of Dams.
So
Correct.
they will, once they've signed off and moved
Yeah.
on to something else.
Right.
Thank you.
I was just going to follow up on my earlier question. Are they concerned because they expect that there are historical artifacts on this site? Because I'm not used to seeing even a comment letter from the tribe on other projects that we do around the service area. So I'm curious why this project in particular is of interest to them.
I don't think they express necessarily the concern that there will be some remains on kind of archaeological. Plus, we have also explained that the excavation which will be performed on this site will be done within the area which was previously excavated. So we're not going anywhere outside. of paved surface and so on. So there shouldn't be any concerns. However, within the Coyote Hills area, I think there are some existing tribal sites which might have just bring the attention to the review because of the close proximity.
Great, thank you. I'm glad that they did submit a comment letter because I'm learning as well as we go. So, great, thank you. I have no other questions or comments from the board. I will open it up to members of the public, both in person and online. If you wish to make a question or ask a question or make a comment, you can approach the speaker's podium or raise your hand in the Zoom app. I see we have one member of the public with their hand up, Mr. Ken Nishimura.
Hi, thank you very much, President Akbari. I have two comments. One is since we have been discussing relocation of the power poles, and I heard somebody say undergrounding. Now I've made a comment, I think, in the past with respect to this property or this site and the fact that the west-facing slope is an ideal location for renewable energy due to the fact that it will get maximum illumination during peak hours, right, where the state actually is in need of additional energy as opposed to midday. It's probably outside the scope of this study, but it would be nice if the district could always consider implementing changes to the utility infrastructure that would support a potential of future installation of a renewable energy facility on that site. My second comment has to do with the comment letter from East Bay Regional Park. They did correctly point out in their last section on recreation, which reflects my concern, right, is that the proposal, at least as originally submitted, indicated an alternative haul route, which is basically going from the site down what is widely known as Nike Trail, which is a relatively steep, narrow paved path that goes down the hill in a north-south direction. And it is widely used by both pedestrians and cyclists. My concern is that that road or that paved path is unlikely to be engineered and constructed to handle the weight of trucks hauling construction equipment and dirt. And therefore, I do echo East Bay Regional's concern that use of the alternative route could result in damage to that facility, which would then create additional hazards to users of the facility once construction is done. So I encourage the district to carefully evaluate use of that alternative route, and if required, take all steps necessary, including engineering calculations to prevent damage to that pathway. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Nishimura.
Thank you. Perhaps I will start with the second comment. Unfortunately, I don't have a good image to show that alternative route, but that will be something going towards the south part of the reservoir. We have made some additional comments and met with East Bay Regional Park District to further coordinate that possibility of using the alternative route. And we made some restrictions that the vehicles which will be going through the East Bay Regional Park District, they will be only construction utility tracks and just the personal vehicles for the folks who have to access this communication tower. I just want to point out that communication tower, that's something which the members of the county, they need to have access to 24/7 because that's the emergency equipment location. So we will definitely strengthen that requirement more as we would be heading towards the construction to make sure that the contractor brings all the required materials in advance of closure of the primary route, and if any kind of damage will occur on a trail, the contractor will be required to repave that. That's kind of feedback to my to your second comment. The first comment related to the renewable energy. I do want to believe that we do have a project where that roof will be replaced, but I'm not sure if we do have any kind of renewable energy in plan for the Patterson. I'm looking
I
at.
can just quickly note, Patterson has been envisioned for phase 2. Right now, as you know, we're wrapping up phase 1. We're looking at phase 2 as we're going to have to redo sort of all the economics, and because all the kind of rules have changed and the technologies have changed. Now, I would say this. I don't believe there would be anything we'd be doing on this project that would preclude a solar field installation like what you're talking about. The bigger issue, because what you're talking about is utilizing that west-facing slope, right? Which we agree, and we've looked at that in the past too. The bigger issue would be as we're designing the replacement roof, which is not part of this project, we have to make sure that we're designing that to accommodate solar panels on the roof. I mean, you can see it's a large roof and there's a fair amount of space there. So I'd say there's nothing likely to be in this project, but we'll keep that in mind as we continue on with design of the project. And again, you're right that any sort of solar work is not part of this project, but it may be something that's done in the future.
Thank you, Ed. And I just also looking at this image. So this is this alternative route, which was pointed out by the East Bay Regional Park District as potential access to the site. It's not usable at this point. We would have to substantially complete some regrading and stabilization to make it usable. So we did look into that. Thank you.
I thank you for your comments on looking at the economics. We have yet to reach grid parity with solar. The only way it makes money can justify it is government subsidies. The grid is still lower cost and actually more reliable. So, thank you.
You're welcome.
Great. I don't see any other.
Right. I'm not seeing any other hands up on Zoom, and I'm not seeing folks approaching the podium here in the room.
Perfect. Do we have a motion on this item?
I'll move staff recommendation.
Second.
Call, please.
Directors Weed,
Aye.
Huang, aye. Gunther,
Aye.
Sethy,
Aye.
and Akbari.
Thank you.
So that concludes our action item. With that, we'll move on to item 6, reports, and we'll take all of item 6.1 first, board committee reports. Are there any other questions or comments on any board committee reports? Seeing none, and I see no hands on Zoom either, we'll move on to item 6.2, operational reports. Are there any board members or members of the public who wish to make a comment or ask a question on any operational reports? Seeing none. Okay. With that, we can move on to item 6.3, staff presentations, and we'll first take 6.3.1, water use efficiency programs update.
Thank you very much, President Akbari. And as the board knows, it's an important part of our functions here is to assist our customers in a lot of different ways in wise water use. And as you know, it factors into our overall water resources plan and our management of our water resources. So it includes lots of moving parts, and we thought we'd take tonight as an opportunity to bring the board an update as to the program. So I don't know if toss it over to our Director of Water Resources, Ms. Heides, first.
Sure. Thank you, Mr. Stevenson. So we're really glad to be here tonight. I know a few months ago, we had an item come to the board with some of our annual programs for approval. And there was interest in learning a little bit more about the variety of programs that we offer to our customers. So we're really pleased to have Jessica Swenson, our water use efficiency specialist, here tonight to share an overview for you of various programs that we offer, and you can get her real world anecdotes as to what we do when we work with customers. And so I'm just going to go ahead and turn it directly over to her to get us started and take you through tonight's presentation.
Thank you, Ms. Heides. All right, yes, I'm excited to be here today to present an update on our water use efficiency programs. To begin, I'll give you a little bit of background about the programs, how it supports the district, as well as the multiple programs that we provide to our customers, as well as our customer support. I'm excited to showcase our updated rebates webpage, where we've improved usability and navigation for customers, as well as our water saving center, where we recently transitioned away from Bay Area Water Supply and Conservation Agency's portal to our in-house application administration. Here are some acronyms that you'll find within the presentation. I'll try to say the names in full so there's no confusion. So why does the Water District have a water efficiency program, and what does it support for the district? So the Water Efficiency Program ensures long water supply reliability, prepares the district for dry periods, it's cost effective compared to expensive water supply options. Our customers are interested in saving water. And then, of course, we do also have those state goals and requirements that we have to meet, especially under the Making Conservation a California Way of Life regulation. The following programs are also a part of our Water Efficiency Master Plan, Strategy B, approved by the board in 2021. The programs meet the board's priorities of providing cost-effective programs to our customers, improves accessibility of water use efficiency programs for income-qualified customers, minimizes the need to look for expensive alternative supplies, expands existing efforts to meet state requirements, integrates with the district's automated metering infrastructure system, and again, supports customer interest in water efficiency. So we provide all of our customers a range of programs and incentives designed to conserve water at their properties. One of our most popular programs is our Fix a Leak kits. These are kits that customers can order at no cost, and they come right to their house. And in those kits, they have water-saving devices like toilet flappers, as well as educational materials on information that can assist them in finding and fixing leaks at their homes. Another very popular program is our water conservation kits. These are kits with water-saving devices like low-flow shower heads, faucet aerators, and a water audit booklet to help them save water at their homes. And we're always welcome to calls through our water conservation hotline for any water conservation related inquiries. And some of those inquiries include our leak and high usage troubleshooting. So maybe a customer received a high usage alert or a continuous flow alert through our automated metering infrastructure system. And they may call us for further assistance for troubleshooting that leak or high usage. Our customers are also our eyes and ears on the streets. So if they ever see a broken sprinkler head or some sort of water waste, they can report it to us and we can help monitor and provide technical assistance. On a weekly basis, we provide an online water conservation Q&A session. It's mainly focused for our water efficient landscape rebate program for customers to learn more about that process, but it's also open to any other water conservation inquiries. In the fall and spring, we offer landscape workshops through a partnership with Bay Area Water Supply and Conservation Agency. mainly towards landscape topics. And some of those topics include alternatives to lawn, rain barrel installation, irrigation system maintenance, and more. And then, of course, we offer just general outreach and educational materials through community events, countywide garden tours at our own demonstration garden here at the headquarters, outreach through the website, customer portal, flyers, and presentations similar to this one that I'm giving today to multiple communities. We also have programs that are specific to different account type customers. So for our commercial customers, we offer a water use efficiency survey where water use efficiency specialists will assess indoor and outdoor water use and suggest ways to improve efficiency at the property. Many of those surveys come directly through the Green Business Certification Program to handle water audits required for those businesses to earn that certification. Our landscape water efficiency surveys are also where we would go out and provide outdoor water use assessments and provide recommendations. And then for our dedicated landscape meters, we provide a landscape water budget program where the program determines a water budget for the customer for their landscaping, tracks usage, generates comparison reports for each billing cycle, and uses real-time weather data and customizable landscape maps. For our single-family customers, we have an online do-it-yourself residential water use survey. It walks them through how to check their water fixtures for flow rates, leaks, and inefficiencies. And once they've completed that survey, they can receive personalized tips from the water use efficiency specialists, and they can receive free low-flow aerators or shower heads if needed. We also promote our partnership with California Youth Energy Services, and we promote their no-cost residential energy and water assessments called the Greenhouse Calls. And then I would also like to highlight our Water Savings Assistance Partnership Program. This is a partnership with PG&E's Energy Savings Assistance Program that offers free water and energy efficiency services for income-qualified customers. Local contractors assess conservation needs and install efficient fixtures, including ultra-high efficiency toilets, faucets, hose bibs, and sprinkler heads at no cost. An exciting update for the current fiscal year is that we've matched the income requirements for the program with our Help on Tap customer assistance program. So we're hoping that more customers will be eligible and we'll have more participation in the program. And then, of course, we also offer incentives for either water-saving devices or outdoor landscape programs. Some require pre-approval to determine eligibility, and some require proof of purchase in order to receive the rebate. You'll notice that some of the rebate amounts vary, which is dependent on cost-effective research that we did. Some of those devices for the indoor devices include rebates for multifamily customers when they replace their old high-using toilets with ultra-high efficiency toilets. Same with our commercial customers. They can also participate in rebates for ultra-high efficiency toilets as well as ultra-high efficiency urinals. And then we also provide all customers the following outdoor rebate devices, including rain barrels for customers to capture and use rainwater in their yards. We also provide an irrigation hardware rebate for the purchase and installation of high-efficiency irrigation equipment to reduce outdoor water use. And then again, one of our more popular programs is our weather-based irrigation controller rebate program. These are WaterSense certified timers for your irrigation system. They connect to the local weather station and they adjust the watering for you as the season changes. And on average, they use about 20% less water than a standard timer. And then the most popular program, as well as the most asked about program, is our water efficient landscape program. This is a program for customers to replace their lawn and convert it to a water efficient landscape with plants. We did an internal study and found that participants in the program saw at least 60% in water savings in their property. Another unique program that I'd like to highlight is our commercial water efficient technology program. This is a rebate that provides, or a rebate for the implementation of equipment changes that reduce water use at commercial properties. Projects can include cooling tower efficiency upgrades, on-site water reuse, and any other equipment that results in measurable water savings, including custom equipment. And then I'm excited to share our updated rebates webpage. Before, it was just one big scroll after another, a lot of text, so it wasn't very digestible for our customers. So now what we've done is we've separated the residential rebates from the commercial rebates, so customers can go right to the page and see exactly what they're eligible for. And we also now have each rebate program as its own separate page, so that it can allow customers to access that information and relevant resources with ease. For example, this is our single-family residential water efficient landscape rebate program page. We've updated this, or we've created this page now. It really states exactly where the customer should start. We do require that they attend that Q&A session to learn more about the terms and conditions and just the overall process of the rebate program. We now have before and after photos, landscape resources with design inspiration, plant resources, and links to our landscape workshops and other related resources. So we're hoping with this update, it'll be easier for customers to navigate the programs. And then once the customers have read about what programs they might be eligible for or might be interested in, they'll apply at our Water Savings Center page. We're very excited because recently we transitioned away from the Bay Area Water Supply and Conservation Agency's portal site to now in-house. So now the customer only has to do one login and they're ready to apply for any rebate program or other programs that we provide. We've recently heard a lot of great feedback from this change, especially from commercial customers. You know, they only have to create one login now for multiple accounts, which is great, easy for them to apply. And it also already has enhanced customer service, improved admin efficiency, and overall greater flexibility to customize program delivery. And thank you for your attention. I'd be happy to take any questions you may have.
Thank you. I will start with the board.
Right. Great job as always. I always love our water conservation program and all the rebates. Really happy to see that we improved the website to make it so much easier for people to apply, because I've been out there doing outreach with the group and a lot of questions, where do I apply? You know, if you start going, go here and scroll down 3 pages and find this link, this is so much easier. So thank you. This is much more user-friendly, and hopefully that will encourage more applications.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you again. It does look much easier to navigate, particularly for those of us who are not the best navigators of the web. Now, I'm also reasonably happy that we're doing it in-house now, because it keeps everything here. I mean, I get it. They were doing it great. But, you know, we're a member of that agency, but we're our own team. And realistically, well, toot our own horn, but
we're pretty good. So appreciate you getting that over here. So Stephanie has heard me say many times over the years that we had too cumbersome a process and we needed to try and pull things in-house. What I saw when I went through the presentation earlier was this is a magnitude increase in how much better our offerings are, how well they're explained, accessibility to the customers. So I'm really pleased. And I can see that there was a lot of hard work from the team went in behind this. So thank you.
Thank you.
Now, I do have a couple of questions. Can you just give us a broad range of, let's say, just on the single residential side, how many customers a year take advantage of at least one of our programs, one of our rebates?
So our most popular rebate program over the lifespan of it is our water efficient landscape rebate program, also known as the Lawn Be Gone rebate program. I have the number here. I believe it's over the time it's been 735 customers have participated. That does include commercial customers. Our next program specifically for the residential customers that's the most participated in is our Fix a Leak kits. That kit that they can order to help them resolve a continuous flow at their property.
What about the rebates on the toilets and the rain barrel and stuff like that?
I would say the next most popular is our weather-based irrigation timer. That's a very popular one. Those devices really do make customers' lives easier. They don't have to go in their garage in the spooky spider web area to touch their timer. They can just do it right from their phone. Same with the rain barrels. The rain barrels are a pretty popular program. We're always trying to increase participation with customers. Let's see, other programs.
So we did have a toilet rebate program for single family residential, and that was very popular for a while. And then the interest fell off. And we did a survey for the water efficiency master plan, and we found that most toilets, most of the large volume toilets have been replaced. And we were seeing that in the numbers of interest. So originally that was a big number program. And the washer rebates, when we did that years ago, those numbers were off the charts, like 20, 30,000 that we did over the time of the program. And then the toilets, I don't remember the exact numbers, but it was over 1,000 toilets easily in a 3-year period. So, but we don't do toilets for single family residential anymore because we did do that saturation study and found that most people replace their toilets, but we do the multi-family sites.
Right.
Those are the property owners will come to us with a project, and it's a big, it's replacing all the toilets that are larger volume toilets. We haven't, yeah.
On another subject, PG&E would always put a label, a rebate label on a hot water heater, a washing machine, dishwasher, refrigerator, so you could apply for the rebate. And I have long thought that we should have those rebate stickers available at the hardware stores to put on the rain barrels so that people do a little advertising, and that would help bring sales to the hardware stores, as well as increase visibility. That ACWD does have a program like this.
We do we do keep track when customers apply for the weather-based irrigation timer rebate. We do track where they found out about the rebate program, and a lot of customers do put that they found the rebate program from a sticker on the box. So it is a great idea.
Yeah. Okay, the rest of it is just excellent. I'm so pleased. Thank you. I'm going to have to go on the website now.
Yes, please
navigate around. First.
Apologies for a different tone. Have we developed a chart that shows what the state requirements are for conservation and where we stand? I once saw that 15 years down the road, we may have a concern. But how are we doing now in the, with our total, with our program in reference to the state criteria?
Yeah, so right now we report every year. And right now last year we reported before January 1st for the fiscal year prior, and we were meeting the regulations. And we expect that we're getting a report ready for this next reporting cycle. We expect to meet it. We have done an analysis where we looked at our demand forecast, and we project that around 2035 is when things are uncertain related to that.
I recall something beyond the 2035 mark, but 2040. How much were we spending on your programs now, including labor?
It's under $1 million, about 800,000 is what we.
How many employees do you have?
There are 4 of us in the water use efficiency group.
$1 million would be just the 4 employees, and then another $800,000 or so beyond that then for the conservation program.
The 800,000 is for the programs. It's for rebates and professional services.
But not including the labor cost.
It does not include labor. It includes some professional services, but not.
Thank you.
Yeah, labor.
That's good.
If I could just add some context there, that team of 4 does more than just the rebate programs. They also assist customers with leaks and field issues, and they're sort of available for a number of issues.
And I suggested one time we create a foundation, taking the employees involved in community outreach and engagement into a foundation where we could expand the program with outside efforts. And the employees of a foundation are employees of the district, separate audit, less than a majority of the board being on their board, and allow the time and interest that is important to those type of programs. I also recall a cost estimate done when we were looking at water efficient water closets. That was in Union City a number of years ago. And there was a union group that didn't want us, that felt the maintenance costs would be higher with the water, with the lower cost. Cost break on water use, the cost of water was 11 flushes a day, every day for the next 20 years, the lifetime of the unit. So it's all wonderful, but at some point, hopefully we can put it in a context. Have a concern with Bosca that conservation has become an existential threat to their access to Hetch Hetchy, the finest water supply in the country. Someone came through and pointed out that Cherry Reservoir could make the same. We've reduced the water needs to such a point that Cherry Reservoir could meet the water supplies up there, but the quality would be terrible. We'd have to spend a couple of $1 billion on a filtration plant to import the water. So hopefully we keep this in context. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Excellent presentation. Really love this topic. I do have a couple of I have one question and then a couple of ideas. Starting with the question. So Director Sethy kind of touched a little bit on some statistics of how many residents are using at least one of our programs. Kind of broadening that scope, would it be possible for us to collect any other statistics or any other data points for total amount of water saved, estimated obviously, or something like that we could actually use to quantify the benefits of this program?
Absolutely. Especially with the automated metering infrastructure, I think we do, there's so many opportunities with it to figure out water savings. We have done the in-house survey or research for the water efficient landscape rebate program and found about 60% in water savings. But yeah, it would be great to see before and afters for once the customer installs their weather-based irrigation timer. Rain barrels are a little difficult to calculate.
Yeah.
Even comparing, we're not only saving water, we're saving energy, like with the low flow shower heads, hot water is involved. So even, looking at that data as well. And then we are using more data for our water savings assistance partnership program. I've kind of relied on the date of the house being built to figure out, how many of those houses were built before those standards came in, where toilets had to be 1.6 gallons per flush, and trying to get those customers that have the 3.5 gallons per flush to get more savings.
Where we can collect more statistics, I would definitely encourage us to do so, because it helps us sell the projects to the community, and then people can better kind of quantify or visualize for themselves how this is actually going to have a material impact on their own lives. Another question I had on the hotline, I think that was slide, I can't remember, but on the hotline. So I believe the hotline only operates Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Is that correct?
7:30 to 5.
Okay.
Staff is kind of different times, but 7:30 to 5 is our usual hours. But we also have our email address as well, but it is during Monday through Friday.
Okay. Just a thought. If we could look into ways that we could use text messaging along with email to collect photos of, like, for instance, if somebody's going on a walk late at night and they see a sprinkler head that's broken, which I see these all the time. If they can just text us a photo and we can use the geolocation data that's already included in the photo to be able to kind of pinpoint where that is, and they can contact us off hours and we can just get to it, when staff gets in on the next morning. I would love to see us kind of broaden our scope and try to include that as part of that program as well.
That's a great idea. We do have our water waste reporting online form that customers can anonymously report, and they can include photos on there. But I love the geolocation idea. That's a great idea.
My challenge with that is, if I'm on a walk and I take a quick photo, then I have to go back to my apartment. I have to send the photo from my phone to my laptop. It introduces a lot of friction. So if there's a way that we could use kind of a traditional communication method like text messaging to incorporate that, I think that would be great.
That's a great idea.
Cool. And then finally, just I think it was slide 10. I sit on the LICA committee, so I'm always thinking social media. That comparison between the before and after is stunning. Like, the after just looks so beautiful. If there is a way that we could get consent from homeowners, as part of the project, if we could post some of these photos on social media, I think that would be so great, because again, it's advertising for us. And I mean, when you look at that, you're like, okay, again, I can kind of visualize the benefit to an individual homeowner on what's possible with non-functional turf.
Yes. That's one of the biggest challenges we see, is that customers have this mindset of a water efficient landscape is just Arizona scape or desert scape. And there's so many different opportunities, so many different design templates that are out there. We do promote our the Bay Area Gardening.org website, and they do have a lot of after photos, but you're right, it's great to see the before and after. So we have talked with public affairs, and we would love to do a campaign like that.
I think that
maybe even a contest for customers. That would be cool.
Yeah. I think that'd be really great. So yeah, go ahead.
I have one more idea for you. Sometime about 10 years ago, I asked us to take a look at whether homeowners that put in recirculating pumps with their water heaters, whether there were any water efficiencies with that. Because I know in my own home, I've got 2 water heaters, one for upstairs, one for downstairs. And I have a recirculating pump that manages both of them. So it's an ultra deluxe one. when it went out last year, when I brought this up 10 years back, the first thing I noticed, it's taking forever to get hot water through the home. I mean, a long time. And I feel like I'm wasting water. With the recirculating pump, I have hot water in an instant, right?
Mm-hmm.
Whether it's in the bathroom or the kitchen, anywhere. And to me, it just seems like there should be some water savings there and an opportunity for us to offer rebates on the recirculating pumps.
To add to this, I remember when Director Sethy brought this up and when it came back, I was like, that can't be right. Because I fully support what he's talking about. You know, a recirc pump, now granted, that would use energy in its own right, but to be able to have the water basically through the system. Now, granted, maybe you'll lose a little bit of heat as it's in the system as well, but that extra water you use, even if you were able to time the thing, you know, put it on a timer, work only in the morning. I really think that report or whatever the follow-up, I think they missed the boat. You know, I don't know what their engineers based their study on, but I mean, I can't challenge the engineer. I didn't do the study, but I'll tell you, I really wasn't particularly satisfied with those results either. So if we could look at that again.
Yeah, I think maybe EPA's Water Sense might have some updated information. I can definitely look into that.
Great. I do want to open it up for any questions or comments from members of the public as well. I see one hand up on Zoom, Mr. Ken Nishimura.
Yeah, I've been following this single family water efficiency program, the landscape rebate, which seems to be your most popular one, and I'm actually checking out your new website now. One concern that I've raised before is the expense required to comply with the 50% rule. And I'm looking at one of the photos that's on your website right now. It's the second photo on the actual page that is captioned water efficient landscape with dry creek bed. And I am wondering if what's shown there actually complies with your 50% rule. Because if it does, then that, it's more encouraging because it actually has far fewer plants than the photo that you are showing right now on your slide. So that's my comment is, the 50% rule, how that's implemented and whether or not the pictures that are shown on your website are actually fully compliant with your rules. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, so all of the photos that were posted on the website, all of those customers did go through our rebate program. I failed to mention that they actually do sign a consent to release their photos when they sign up for the rebate program. Maybe one of those photos you're seeing, so that we do require 50% plant coverage at full maturity. So when the plant is fully grown, so I'll have to take a look at that picture, but it might just be that those plants are really baby plants. But they're also, if they're like succulents, those don't grow as big, so they have to put more in, things like that. So I'll have to look at that picture though. Thank you.
I want to tell you something. A couple of times in the past, I actually went and participated in removing a lawn with I think Stephanie helped me out on a weekend where I went out with a whole neighborhood that did it all in one day. And it was so much fun.
A sheet mulching party? Was that?
Yeah. And then all the neighbors come together and then they're all saying, oh, we want to do the same thing. And I'd like to do more of those where we sponsor some neighborhood things like that.
That's a great idea. Yeah, we often see that when one neighbor converts their lawn, it does seem to follow a pattern, and it's almost like a peer pressure. Everyone starts to convert their own lawn as well. So it is a great community event idea.
And it's kind of cool when people in the neighborhood see a board member actually getting their hands dirty.
There you go. Yeah. Thank you.
Great. I don't see any other questions or comments from members of the public online or in person. So, Ms. Swenson, I appreciate the presentation today.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
So that concludes item 6.3 staff presentations. We'll move on to item 6.4 general managers reports, starting with 6.4.1.
Thanks very much, President Akbari. This will be relatively brief. We actually have two. One's hot off the press. They're both kind of hot off the press. But we'll start off with support for infrastructure funding, state water project and Delta levies, and I'll ask Ms. Heides to fill us in.
Thank you, Mr. Stevenson. As the board's aware, there's many challenges that subsidence along the California Aqueduct pose to the operation of the state water system, and there are also many challenges that we face in the event of Delta levee failures. So the state water contractors and many other groups have been working together to advocate for funding to address these critical issues. So just recently, the district signed on to a letter along with many other water agencies and a diverse set of different partners that went to the governor and the assembly and state leadership, encouraging the inclusion of a first year of funding through this year's state budget process to repair damage and mitigate ongoing risks associated with the state water project's existing conveyance system and the Delta levee system. So the letter itself was advocating for a first year of multiple years of funding that's needed to mitigate risks and address climate pressures for both of these issues. This is critical to the resiliency of the both the state water project and the Central Valley project water delivery infrastructure. And as you know, we're a part of the state water project. It's also, the funding would be critical to shoring up Delta levees to help withstand sea level rise and climate impacts, to reduce flooding in Delta communities, minimize the potential for water supply and economic disruptions for those of us here south of the Delta, and address issues before they turn into emergencies. So the letter encourages basically the initiation of this first year of funding to build a foundation for a multi-year effort to mitigate these extreme risks to the state's natural resources, commerce, and the economy. And just given the nexus with the district's use of state water project water to serve our customers, this was something that we worked with the general manager to make him aware, and went ahead and signed on to this letter that hopefully will result in some funding for these critical issues here in the state. So with that, I will turn it back to Mr. Stevenson for any additional comments on this particular letter. And we will be sending a copy of the letter to you all to see
Is
as
this
well.
an open-ended request, or is there a target dollar amount that we're looking for?
They do have some target dollars for this year's budget allocations included in the letter, but they are looking for, ideally this is going to be 1 year of funding for, a longer term program that will still require more funding as well.
Can you distribute that letter to the board? And I'll tell you why I'm interested. I sat in today with the Aqua presentation for 1 hour from 1 to 2 on the vision for our water future. It was an excellent 1 hour program, really. And what they went through in detail is the action plan that they're putting together for the incoming administration in January. And we're going to be presented with a lot of those ideas at the next Aqua conference. But they've made tremendous progress during this year on the phase 1, and now they're working on phase 2. And so people naturally were asking under the Q&A portion, are we talking with DWR? Are we coordinating with DWR? Because the more we can be together, and Carlin Nemeth is going to help out a lot here, the better we are to try and promote some of this effort. And they also went through the detailed FM3 market research, which I'm not going to go into here, but the presentation is available online. And there's a lot of good data in there that supports the governor and other state legislators taking action from both parties, Democrats, Independents, and Republicans. It's almost universal across the board. So the research findings back up the requests that we're making right here.
Yeah, and I'll say this particular coalition involved to a great extent the state water contractors who are working very much hand in hand, and we are working very much hand in hand with state contractors and frankly DWR. I know Aqua is to some extent, certainly KUA is as well. So to answer your question, this is the specific ask here for the upcoming budget, 110 million to address the state water project infrastructure issues, and 70 million related to the Delta levy system. This was something that came up really quick. It's one of those you got to sign on by 10 a.m. tomorrow or you're not on. So this is again asking for forgiveness and not permission because we've already signed on. My rationale was this board has been very supportive of the state water project, the infrastructure improvements that are needed, including existing infrastructure, that if we don't have this sort of injection of funding, it's going to come back to state water contractors to pick up the cost. That's our ratepayers. So I felt like it was the right thing to do, and I appreciate Ms. Heidi's guidance here. So yes, we will forward this letter to the board. Okay, next item. We actually have another quick item. This is even hot off the press, didn't even make it on the agenda. This is another ask for forgiveness and not for permission. As you know, this is the time in the legislative cycle where things move really, really quickly. But to share what's going on, I'll turn it over to our special assistant to the general manager, Ms. McLeod.
Thank you, Mr. Stevenson. We were alerted to SB 1153, which is a Senator Caballero bill related to wildfire and risk resilience. In this bill, it would improve planning and resilience for strengthening emergency preparedness for water systems located in high wildfire risk areas. In the past, we worked with JGC on this bill as well, and they have gone and met with Assembly Member Lee's staff in Sacramento. Aqua had circulated a NASCAR-style letter that said, hey, on Thursday, this is being heard in the Assembly. Please, if you're interested, will you please sign on to this bill? So it's another coalition-style letter. This bill would offer some protections and clarifications for water systems and the limitations, or what are the expectations during wildfire events of water systems. And so again, as Mr. Stevenson pointed out, we're asking for forgiveness. We did sign on to the coalition letter yesterday. Mr. Stevenson did contact the board president and the board vice president, and I did present this in LICA committee, and we did sign on successfully yesterday at 4 p.m. right before the LICA committee. And I'm happy to take any questions and comments.
Is this the same bill that Aqua put out their alert on?
Yeah, so they put out the alert, and I will give credit to Mr. Miyake for alerting me that they had the coalition letter going around. I somehow missed that, so thank you, Mr. Miyake.
And I just want to note, it's not on the agenda, so we can't really discuss it much. We'd be happy. We're going to share this letter with the board too, and we'll be happy to address any questions, but I didn't want to get into too much discussion. It's not on the agenda. So that's it for general manager's reports this evening.
Wonderful. With that, we'll move on to item 7, director's comments, reports on meetings attended, and agenda item requests. We do have 3 items for Director Sethy, but I'll just start at the end of the day and see if anyone has any.
Nothing from me. Thank you.
John, do you have anything?
Yes. The Corps of Engineers has put out a request for items that they could study. They're not asking for any money. They're asking to look at studies. The Elval Reservoir under Prop 1, we requested $100 million. We spent $10,000 with West Jost to make the preparation. And then we dropped the project when we were told it would cost this district $1 million to put in the application for $100 million, although that $100 million would have been fully funded by the state of California because it's a reoperation. For every 1,000 acre feet of storage, you have an offset of $20 million. And when you can turn it over 2 or 3 times in a year, that's $20 million for every turnover. So easily $1 billion of potential alternate cost for water storage by the simple reoperation of Del Valle Reservoir, and it's primarily flood control. Of the 77,000 acre feet, only 15,000 acre feet is used for water supply, and we split that with Zone 7. I would encourage us to look at just going back, taking the proposal we submitted to Prop 1, and give that to the Corps of Engineers with a request that they evaluate the reoperation of Del Valle. They did do a minor modification to it, and we came up with a fair amount of water about 7 or 8 years ago. I'm told we're not getting support from Zone 7 or Valley Water. Why it stuns me. They all have their own problems. Valley Water at the time was pushing Pacheco, but Pacheco took a natural death, is no longer in the offerings. And Chain of Lakes would be part of the solution to be able to direct some of the runoff during major flood control issues, allowing far more dynamic storage in Del Valle. So hopefully, we're running out of time. I was not here for the meeting last month, but I would encourage
Director
us
Reed,
to-
I'm sorry to interrupt, but this is not on the agenda. And so if you could wrap up your comments, that would be great.
I would request the board express interest and have our staff consider staff can take this within this capacity of the general manager to initiate a request for a study. Thank you.
Let me turn that into a request for the Operations and Water Quality Committee. I was the other director who supported Director Weed back then. We were making lots of trips up to the California Water Commission, couldn't get a third board vote support, so it died. But I'm still strongly in favor of doing that, and a reexamination, if we put it on a committee agenda, would be worthwhile. So I have 3 quick reports. Don't want to waste anybody's time here. Item 7.1, we had a meeting on a single item before the Alameda Countywide Oversight Board, which was to put the final stamp of approval on the city of Berkeley closing all of its redevelopment activities. And we took up the matter earlier this year, gave approval. They had to go to the State Department of Finance to get a sign off from them and then come back for a formal approval at the county level. I will report that we still have certain communities that have not closed their books on redevelopment. It may take years still. This was not the vision of Governor Brown when he took this action, but Union City, Hayward, Alameda, Emeryville, City of Oakland, and the County of Alameda are still all outstanding. So that's my report on item 7.1. Director Weed attended, by the way, as my alternate. 7.2. I attended a joint meeting of the Alameda County Special Districts Association and the Contra Costa County Special Districts Association in Oakley. Was up there for about 4 hours, and we had our meeting at Diablo Water District Corporation Yard, which is right next door to the Iron House Sanitary District Advanced Water Recycling Facility and the Diablo Water District Carbon Neutral Corporation Yard. So it's all one big geographic area next to each other. It was 105 degrees already at about 10 in the morning on a humid day. And you're in sanitary facilities, which they gave us hard hats and protective wear, but I needed a gas mask. That's what I really needed. Anyway, it was a really interesting presentation. And the recycling facility is not a traditional recycling facility where you think it's going back into the distribution system. They have a pipeline that they built under the San Joaquin River there, a narrow portion of the San Joaquin, over to an island where they spray all of that recycled water over the island. And it's good fertilizer for them. Both organizations are in good shapes with their budgets. We went over a pretty lengthy state legislative presentation. Got an update on all that. And ACWD will be the host of the forthcoming meeting, the one we have in January, the TP2 conference room. I measured this room and took pictures of it so I can share that with Dan. It's 25 lengths, my steps versus 20. We got everybody in there. One other thing that's quite interesting is how much development opportunity there is in Oakley and the surrounding communities of Brentwood and other places. It's really a boom city right now, and the water district and the sanitary district are having to plan for all this future growth that's going to occur over the next 2 decades. Oakley's going to more than double in size. Brentwood's going to go up another 30%, 35%. So, and there's opportunity in Antioch as well. So it's a really interesting environment. It's a pocket of the bay that you don't normally get to. It's close to the entrance to the Antioch Bridge that goes over to Rio Vista. So it was, overall, it was a very rewarding joint session. We only do this once a year. Any questions? Third, Director Weed also attended this meeting on August 6th. We had a presentation from the only woman in the United States who is in charge of a major port, the Port of Oakland, which includes the Oakland Airport and all the seaport area between the airport and the old naval shipyard. She gave a very interesting presentation on all the modernization things that they're doing and all the upgrades, the new technology that's going in, how they're making a very earnest effort to go carbon neutral, swapping out all the trucks and the payloads that generally, she said for the most part, they go from Oakland down to San Leandro and then out to distribution centers. So they want to cut down on all that pollution along that corridor. And, they're working with federal grants and state grants to help accelerate that. They're the #1 destination for certain products, including export of almonds, state of California. All kinds of nuts go through, and raisins through Port of Oakland. We're on the water side of the business. I was fascinated by how they are trying to deal with sea level rise, other water issues that we talk about at Aqua sessions, but it's interesting to hear the perspective of thinking long range, 40, 50, 100 years out, how much work they have to do to protect the seaport there. It's much like they're putting in the $5 billion wraparound ring in San Francisco. I am concerned that in our own Tri-City area, especially Newark, Union City, that we're not thinking far enough down the line. Putting new housing right next to the bay. Lastly, Director Gunther, me, and Director Weed will be at our Aqua Region 5 fair down in Oxnard early next month. But the September 3rd presentation by the South Bay Engineers Club, which meets right down the street on Technology Drive, you get a great lunch there, is going to be on the golden mussels. And they sent out the name of the presenter and all the information. So hopefully we can get some staff to go there. Should be a good presentation.
Short commute. Yeah. So yeah, we very well might have staff there.
That's my report.
Great. I have just one very quick item. On July 8th, I was invited to speak on a panel by Assemblymember Alex Lee for his Young Legislators event, where I spoke about the work that we do here at ACWD. There are about 15 or so students, primarily high school students with a couple of college students in there as well. Had a great event. They were asking me about riparian rights, and I was like, how do you guys even know that word? But these students were very, very on top of the topics that they're interested in. They're asking some very deep questions as well. And so I did offer for them to attend a future board meeting where they can learn more or to connect with us directly. So hopefully some of them reach out or may even apply for our Water Ambassadors program, ideally, which I pitched very hard. But it was a really great event. That's the only item that I had. Seeing nothing else, it is 7:46 p.m. and we will adjourn tonight's board meeting. Thank you, everyone.